record today's class. So we are going to start with a little somatics today. So just find yourself lying on your back, legs long, and just give yourself a moment to kind of catch up with yourself, fully arrive. Maybe let the eyes drop closed. And just enter into a state of awareness. Hi, Vicki, welcome. We're just lying on the back, taking a moment to show up in the moment. I asked my family last night a question. I asked them, aside from the basic needs of food, water, and shelter, what did they feel was the most important need after those basic needs were met? I was just curious. I think it's an interesting inquiry to find out what we need versus what we want. And life gets so complicated that I was just kind of seeking, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of needs after basic needs are met? So Lincoln, my youngest, answered light. Brilliant. Yes, of course, we need light. We cannot dwell in darkness. Our lives must be illuminated in order for all else to take shape. Saxon, who's 16, answered family, which I was very touched by. And he also added that he felt we need a way to exchange in order to have our needs met. And I'm guessing his thoughts were on how we exchange money in order to maintain our other basic needs. But I also see a more broad idea of this exchange. We need to share ideas, thoughts, fears, inspirations, and victories. We need to experience interchange with others in order to validate our existence. In this way, we need to be seen and heard and to reciprocate this for others. Michael, my husband, said he believed it was connection that was the most important. He talked about the need we have to feel the warmth of companionship, to experience a sense of belonging. A feeling of place within a group, family, or community. Yes, I agree. An absolute human need. We need to feel like we have a place. When I reflect on my own inquiry, I discover that I believe we need the ability to live in presence or mindfulness. We need to be able to leave the past behind, to forego our attachment to what is next and allow ourselves to be fully alive in the moment. If we are trapped in past failures or injustices, or if we are attached to fears about what's coming next, we are bound to bear a heavy burden. It is when the past and the future fall away that we truly thrive and create and love and forgive. Little side note, I actually read an article about this fascinating tribe in the Amazon that their language is one of the most unique languages ever discovered by linguistics scientists. And they communicate through like whistles and sounds and tones and hums and things like that. And they don't have any sounds to talk about past or future. Their entire language is rooted in the present. And they speak of this tribe as being one of the happiest groups of people around. I thought that was pretty profound. As I reflect more on these things, I begin to see a simple set of puzzle pieces that allow us to be fulfilled and happy. Despite life feeling complicated at times, most of us require just a few simple things in order to flourish. We need a foundation that supports our physical well-being. We need the ability to experience where we are in the present, to feel connected with others, to see others and be seen for our unique offerings, whether tangible or intangible. And as Lincoln said, we need light, both within us and around us, to illuminate the dark so that we may witness all of this alchemy in action. I speak from experience in knowing that although these things are simple, that it is easy to find yourself in struggle for one or more or even all of these things at times. It is my hope that your heart and mind can embrace and allow a life in which you feel safe, clear, loved, inspired, and present. I see you. May all that is unforgiven in you be released. May your fears yield their deepest tranquilities. May all that is unlived in you blossom into creativity, grace, and love. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Bend your knees if they're not bent already. Take your arms long down by your sides, palms gently open toward the ceiling. Beginning with some pelvic tilts, beginning to wake up the low spine. Begin to roll your tail toward the floor, creating an arch in the back. Inhale. Exhale and reverse, press the belly down to the floor. Draw the pubic bone toward the belly button. Inhale and arch the spine. Exhale, press the belly toward the floor. Continue in this way, inhaling and exhaling and just allowing the movement in the spine to travel all the way up the neck and into the skull. Maybe the chin moves gently and naturally with this motion. Relax and release. Notice any sensation in the back or spine or anywhere in the body. Take your hands behind your head, create a little basket for your head. Elbows are wide. We're just going to add on to the movement that we just started with the pelvic tilts. Inhale as you arch your low back toward the floor, you're rounding the spine. Exhale as you press the belly down, feel the full back on the floor and round up, drawing elbows in. So you're just peeling the head and shoulders up. Slowly release and arch, big breath. Exhale, belly down, roll up, elbows come in. This is your movement. Continue on your own. Couple more. And the next time your back comes flat onto the floor, release, bring your arms down by your sides. You can keep the knees bent. Just feel, notice any energy moving through the body, but also notice physical sensation. Notice any activity in the mind or emotions. You're going to take your right hand now behind the head. Take a big breath in, arch the spine. As you exhale, lift the head and shoulders. You're going to use your left hand to hold the knee, bring it in to touch the elbow, and turn to look off to the left. Release, nice and slow. arch the spine, big breath. Exhale, peel up, use your left hand to help the knee and elbow make contact. Turn your gaze to the left and release. Continue in this way. This is your movement. Don't forget your arch. And continue. Move slow. In fact, the slower, the better, so that you can experience the full journey. Eyes can be closed if that feels okay to you. Experience the movement from the inside out. And the next time your foot meets the floor, bring both arms by your side and just take a moment. Left hand behind the head. Take a big breath in, arch your spine. Very important piece of this movement, so don't leave it out. As you exhale, press the belly down, lift your head and shoulder. Use your right hand to draw your right knee toward the elbow, maybe making contact, maybe not. Release and arch the spine with an inhale, and exhale, begin to move. Again, this is your movement. Slower is better, so that you don't leave out any part of the journey. Remember, when the elbow and knee meet, you turn your gaze to the right. If at first the breath isn't matching the movement, that's perfectly okay. Maybe eventually you start to match the movement, remembering to inhale and arch. And the next time the foot comes to the floor, release. Gently rock your head from side to side. Hug your knees into your chest. Take your hands behind your knees and gently roll up to a seat. If it takes you a couple rolls, take your time, eventually arriving in a seated position. Let the eyes drop closed. You're going to hold on to your right foot with both hands. So just allow your body to adjust. Maybe the weight shifts over onto the left hip. Hold on to the right foot. Kick through the right heel to straighten the right leg a bit, and then draw the chin in. We're rounding the spine. Bend the knee, lift the chest, bring the heel in toward the body, lift the gaze, and then again, straighten the leg, chin comes in. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, straighten. And the leg doesn't have to go all the way straight, just as straight as your body is ready for. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Continue to move at your own pace, with your own breath. And maybe start to explore the angle at which you kick the heel out. So maybe more to the left. Or draw the knee out to the right and see how that feels to extend the leg more out to the right. And again, really, if the breath doesn't match the movement, that's okay. It's more important to be tuned into the sensation of the movement. If the breath is an additional distraction, don't worry about it. You'll naturally breathe, right? The breath can deepen sensation as always. So that's just a way to experience more depth in the movement. And then when you're ready, release the foot. Sit up tall. Close your eyes. Bring your awareness into your right hip, and then just allow that awareness to travel up the spine into the neck, shoulders. There may be a sense of warmth through this movement. The somatics is really great for releasing trapped tension or chronic hypertonicity in muscles. So another word for chronic tension that we don't even really recognize is there. Now just switch legs. Left leg comes in front of your easy seat. Give yourself a moment maybe to shift your weight a bit to the right hip, and then both hands hold on to that left foot. Again, we can keep the eyes closed as long as that feels good, and we'll just continue with the same pattern of movement. Kick the left foot out, tuck the chin in. Move super slow and smooth, and don't worry about what it looks like. The leg straightens maybe to the full length of the leg, and maybe not. Maybe it's a straighten-ish leg with a little bit of a bent knee. Rounding the spine, feel the shoulder blades move apart. And begin to play with the angle, maybe kicking the foot out to the right, straight out in line with your center line, and then bring the knee out to the left and kick the leg out to the left. Matching breath only if it feels not too complicated. Somatics is smooth, slow, intentional, deeply aware. Somatics was developed from the Feldenkrais method, which is very old, really. It's from the early 1900s, and it was really one of the original forms of physical therapy for injury. And then release your foot down when you're ready. And just sit and feel. Again, your awareness will come into your left hip. Just allow yourself to be within the warmth and the movement in that hip and leg, and just trace that warmth and movement up the left side of the body and spine. Come on to hands and knees. So we're going to cat-cow, but we're going to let this be really fluid. So kind of a more exploratory cat-cow. Maybe you'll start by lifting chest and tail and then rounding the spine. That's a great place to start, just moving the spine into flexion and extension. Just exploring that. And then if you'd like, you can take barrel rolls. So the torso shifts out to one side and then dips toward the mat and then arches, and you can choose any direction to start. You may notice I'm bending the elbows as I come down. That's part of the exploration. And you could allow the head to begin to get involved. And this, of course, is your private practice in your home. So let it look however. It doesn't matter how it looks. Switching directions with the barrel-like rolls when you're ready, and moving in any way. Start to let it be really free form. Maybe hips move back. This is very freeing for the emotional and energetic body to just let ourselves move kind of in an animalistic way. We get kind of trapped in our adult mind and our adult body, and we forget to move in a free form style, especially probably haven't been out dancing in a while, which is where we often get this kind of movement out of our systems, releasing kinetic energy, frenetic energy, or both. And then come to a child's pose when you're ready. Give yourself a moment just to sense movement in the body. Maybe a little more freedom, sense of fluidity, open space. We'll meet in the downward facing dog. Take your time getting there. Arrange your hands and feet so that you are in your most comfortable downward facing dog. Your knees can be softly bent. Bring extra weight to the thumb and index finger, and then claw with all the other fingertips. Release any tension in the neck. If you'd like to move the head around, open and close the jaw. Walk out the knees. So again, this is a little bit of free-form movement, just in the shape of your dog, kind of like we did in the cat-cow. Just giving yourself permission to move on impulse in this shape. Settling to stillness. Take your time. Inhale, right leg lifts. Square hips, so don't worry too much about lifting the right leg super high. You want the hips to be square and you're lifting from the inner thigh of the right leg. You can shift your gaze back at your right foot and make sure that the toes are pointing straight down. So you have a closed hip position. Press evenly into both hands to lengthen the heel back. Spread your toes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bend the knee, draw it toward the nose. Shift your shoulders over your wrists. Press the floor away and step your foot between the thumbs. Take your time wiggling the foot up the mat if you need to. Your knee lands directly over your ankle. Fingertips are light on the mat. Draw your right hip back in space. Activate through your left heel. Broaden the collarbones. Take 2 full breaths here. Plant your hands. Press the floor away to glide the right foot back. Downward facing dog. Mindful step back. Other side, left leg lifts. Spread your toes, inner thigh lifting toward the ceiling. Closed hip position, press the floor away and lengthen through the heel. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knee, pull it toward the nose, pull the belly in, shift forward so your shoulders move over your wrists, and really press the floor away. Now step your foot between the thumbs. Take your time, inhale to fingertips, left hip gently draws back, keeping that square hip position. Belly lifts toward the spine, shoulders glide away from earlobes. 2 full breaths here. So same really mindful step back. We're going to press the floor away, just like we came in, and lift that left foot to step back. Arriving in your dog, settle into stillness. Inhale, wave forward to the top of a push-up and hold. If you need to use your knees here, that's fine. Maybe you're holding the more intense sort of hollow body shape here, pulling the belly in, pressing the floor away. The shoulder blades move away from each other. Really active. Send weight through your heels to turn the buttocks and the back of the legs on. Begin to lower. Shift gently forward. Bend the elbows and find your way all the way to your belly. Stack your hands and rest your forehead. Take your left arm long by your side and keep your right hand where it is. Turn your left cheek onto the hand so that you're looking over at your right shoulder. Begin to lift the chest. Keep your right hand down and then lift your left leg. So your right hand could be palm down on the floor, but it's long next to the body. It could be palm up, it's up to you. And then release. This is your movement. Inhale, lift and release. Little exploration here. So at first, just notice how your body got here. Are you pressing firmly into the hand to lift? If you are, try the opposite. Try lifting without pressing the arm down. See what other muscles turn on to make this possible. And then rest your cheek on your hand. Let everything go. Take a breath. And then the next movement, we're going to lift the arm too. So with your cheek and arm touching, lift the whole arm and the left leg and release. This is your movement. Inhaling and exhaling. So continue on your way. It's really interesting to me how these slow, intentional movements can really build heat in the body. So when we think about somatics maybe being easy, it isn't necessarily so. And then the next time the arm comes down, release, and then stack your hands, left hand on top, and rest your forehead. And we're going to go the other way. So take your right hand down to the floor, arm long by your side. Right cheek on left hand, you're looking at your left elbow. Starting in the same way, keep your left arm on the mat. Lift your torso, you're looking to the left. Add the right leg. That's your movement. So as always, don't worry too much about breath in the somatic-like movements. If it feels good to match your breath, great, but don't worry about it. And again, just notice your first pattern. Do you get here by pressing the arm down and both arms down? If you do, try lifting with just your back strength. Just to notice how the body develops patterns. And then rest your cheek next time it comes down. And we'll do the same thing. We're adding the left arm. So keep your gaze off over your left elbow and then lift the whole arm and right leg and release. Lift and release. Lift and release. And again, just play with how you get here. If you're pressing into your right arm a lot, see if you can take that out of the equation. See how it changes things. And then the next time your body is fully on the mat, stack your hands and rest your forehead. Then we're going to do some back extensions with both arms and both legs. So with your hands stacked, forehead on your hands, lift elbows, chest, and legs, and release. Lift and release. Lift and release. This is your movement. Continue on your own, matching breath to movement if you like. This style of movement I find to be luxurious, even though it is work, can feel really nice in the body and the mind. A couple more. And then the next time your whole body is on the mat, rest. Slide your hands under your shoulders. Make your way through hands and knees. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. Once you arrive in dog, again, give yourself license to move on impulse. You can move your head, move your jaw, walk out your legs, sway your hips. If your impulse is to be still, that's okay too. No rules, no judgment. Being able to move as it feels authentic is very freeing. We'll make our way to the top of the mat. So however you like to get there, if it's a playful little hop, bend the knees and hop to the top, or just take a nice little stroll, meeting in a forward fold. Bend the knees a lot. Relax, release, breathe. Slide your hands up to your shins and lift your torso for flat back pose. We're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Really press your hands into your shins, lift the belly. Think about lengthening through the crown of the head and the tail. So we come here a lot, like say in our sun salutations, right? We half lift a whole bunch of times, but we don't often linger here. So let this feel good. Inhale and exhale. And then fold. Fold over the legs, relax, release, bend your knees a lot. So this isn't a super deep forward fold, unless that feels really good in your body and you're ready for that. But there's no pressure. We're not moving. We're moving to about 50% maybe of our possible depth in this forward fold. And then again, press hands into shins and grow to half lift. Lengthen the tail back, crown of the head forward. And then one more time, release, forward fold. Root down through the feet. Inhale, we'll sweep all the way up to the top. Palms touch. Exhale, float the arms down to the sides. Take your feet about hip distance width. This is kind of a fun little practice. Bend your knees, sink your hips. You're going to take your elbows and place them on your thighs. And a couple of options here. You're going to keep the hips low, so we are working. It's kind of like a chair pose. And you can use your elbows to press and release down the front of your thighs. Or if you have the right clothing on, you might be able to slide your elbows down your legs. So you're basically just using your elbows to slide down the thighs a couple times. And again, you could always just do little pushes with the elbows, kind of working that meridian down the front of the legs. And you could even adjust, kind of going a little wider or a little closer in. Building a lot of heat because we're staying with those bent knees, and then forward fold when you're ready. Bend the knees, root down, inhale, release the spine, come all the way up. Nice big stretch through the spine and sides of the body. Float the arms down to the sides. Again, feet are under hips, bend the knees. Take your right hand behind you and place it on your low back. Take your left hand and place it behind the head. And keep those knees bent. So this should feel like work. We're going to extend and lengthen the spine. It's almost like you're back bending a little bit. Press your head back. You press your tail into your right hand. So kind of working to find a back extension, although most of us, it will look more straight. And then fold in. I really do like to match the breath with this movement. So inhale, keep those knees bent. You're working. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold in. These are kind of big and deeply feeling movements. So a lot of sensation probably. Couple more. Let your legs feel the work, get warm. Last one, extend the spine and then round, flex the spine. Release forward. Feel free to walk out the knees a bit if your quads are feeling it. Bend the knees a lot. Inhale, sweep all the way up, palms touch. Exhale, arms at your sides. Just stand a moment. Other side. So feet under hips, maybe a little wider. You can kind of play with your own foot position. Sink your hips low. So you're coming into chair basically. Left hand comes behind you. The back of my hand is on my sacrum. You could place the palm too, but I feel like the back of the hand works best. Right hand behind the head. Take that elbow out to the side. And then activate. Think about extension back bend, even though it may not look like one. And then exhale, round, fold in, little ball. Inhale. Exhale. Big feeling, big movement, big breath. Keep going. Let there be a little sense of coming to the end of being able to do this. Working the body. Last one, big extension. And exhale, fold in. Release, forward fold. Big breath, maybe legs straighten a little more. Walk out the knees if you need to. Bend into the knees, inhale, come all the way up, lengthen your spine, maybe find a little back bend, and then exhale, arms rest at your sides. Now we're gonna turn long ways on the mat, so turn to the long edge of your mat. If I was in the studio, I'd tell you which direction to turn, so it's a little easier to cue that way, but just find the side that works in your space. And we're gonna do something called clearing the table, which is an awesome way to start the new year, right? So we're gonna take the left leg a little bit soft, reach over to the right, and then sweep across the table. Clear the table. So bend into the right, bend into the left. If the eyes can be closed, fine. If they just soften, fine. Think about clearing that table. Haven't you always wanted to do this to a table? Just push all the stuff off of it. So back and forth, really let your spine begin to move side to side. Use the breath. Maybe 2 or 3 more clears. Could be a little faster or slower. And then let yourself gently come into wide leg forward fold. Toes point in, heels are out. Grab opposite elbows. And again, just start to gently sway. You could be still if you prefer. Walk your hands out in front of you. Wide leg prepare pose. Plant your fingertips like spider fingers and lift halfway, look forward. Toes in, heels out, lift the belly, nice strong pose. Couple breaths. Turning this into a twist, left hand at 12 o'clock, right arm reaches up. Lengthen through the crown, lengthen through the tail. Draw your left hip back in space. And then switch, right hand down, left arm up, right hip draws back. Come back to center. Turn your toes out, heels in. We're coming into Sumo Pose or Goddess Pose. Sink your hips nice and low. Make sure your knees track out in the direction of your toes. So take a little time finding your alignment. The hips sink low. The belly pulls in so that the tail is reaching toward the floor a little bit. So you have a nice, you're not sticking your seat out behind you too much. And then take the arms overhead and glue your palms together. Hook the thumbs and let the eyes settle in one spot. Sink the hips. If you'd like a little challenge at the end, pop your heels off the mat. Keep pulling the belly in. Don't let the knees collapse forward if you're lifting the heels. Lower the heels, straighten the legs, release the arms, step to the top of the mat. Inhale, take the arms overhead. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, right foot steps back. Release your right knee to the mat. Release the foot. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, settle. One more breath. Exhale, hands to the mat. Lift your back knee. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward to plank. Exhale, lower your way. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, knee to nose, shift forward and step through. Release your left knee, release your foot. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, settle. One more breath. Exhale, hands to the mat, lift your back knee, step forward and fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to bow deep. Soften the knees, inhale, big sweep up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, hands to the mat, left foot steps back, release your knee. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, settle. Big breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat, lift your back knee, step to downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward to plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, knee to nose. Shift forward and step through. Release your right knee to the mat. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, settle. Big breath. Exhale, hands to the mat. Lift your back knee. Step forward and fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale to bow deep. Extra breath. Bend your knees, root down to rise. Inhale. Exhale, hands to prayer. Take a moment, catch your breath. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, right foot steps back. Inhale, keep that back knee high, airplane wings. Exhale, arms forward, shoulders in the sockets. Inhale, reach up. Exhale here. Tilt your body forward, finding Thunderbolt Pose. So your legs stay firm, your torso reaches forward. Left hip draws back as you lengthen the left side of the body. Send weight through your right heel. Pouring the weight into the left foot will launch into a warrior 3 pose, lifting your right leg behind you. Take the arms back, lift the chest, find a back bend. Reach your fingertips behind you, spread those toes, look forward. Slowly release your right toes to the mat. Place your hands down and step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward to plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Extra breath in your dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, bring it toward the nose to step through. Back heel is high, back knee is high. Airplane wings. Exhale, arms forward, shoulders back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, settle in. Thunderbolt pose, lean forward. Right hip draws back, belly pulls in. Active through the hands. Launching onto the right foot, shift forward and float your left leg up behind you. Take the arms back by your sides, lift the chest, lift the gaze. Step your left toes to the mat, plant the hands, step forward and fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to bow deep. Soften the knees. Inhale, big sweep to the top. Palms touch, hands at prayer, close your eyes. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale to half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step your left foot back. Inhale, airplane wings. Exhale, arms forward, shoulders in the sockets. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, settle. Find your thunderbolt, reach forward. Weight in the right foot, launch. And then fly, reach back, lift the gaze. With control, step the left toes down, hands meet the mat, downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward to plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, knee to nose, step through. Back heel is high. Inhale, airplane wings. Exhale, arms forward, shoulders back, settle in. Reach up. Exhale. Reach forward, Thunderbolt. Get ready to launch onto the left foot, lift your right leg, and then fly. Glide the arms back, look forward. Slowly lower, step your right toes to the mat. Hands frame the foot, step forward and fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to bow deep. Soften the knees. Inhale, big sweep to the top. Hands at prayer, close your eyes. Coming into pyramid pose and pyramid back bend. From the top of the mat, step your right foot back about 3 feet, 3.5 feet. You may need to adjust for your proportions. Right toes point to the top right corner, left toes pointing straight ahead. Bring your hands to your hips and square your hip points to the top of the mat. Take your arms overhead. We're going to fold over the front leg. Sometimes it's useful to leave a hand on top of the left thigh if it's hard for you to keep that squared hip position. If you can keep drawing that left hip back, you can come forward with both arms. Left hip drawing back. You could stay here, or you can fold over the leg, bringing your forehead toward your shin. And this might be a place for blocks under the hands if you have them. And again, no forcing into any type of pain in that left hamstring or leg. So you'd want to just bend the leg a little bit if you're feeling any pain. Right hip continues to draw back generously. Breathe here. We'll move through a little bit of flow here, whether your hands are on blocks or on the mat. Inhale to find a flat back, half lift. And exhale to bow over the leg. 2 more times. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, and exhale, fold. I'm going to hinge up from the hips, so use the strength in your core and your legs. Start to come up, takes a little balance. Finding pyramid legs will find the back bend. Your left hip continues to draw back. Your hands come behind the spine. Either prayer hands or press your fists together behind your back. Begin to lift from the sternum, the chest, and the chin. Release from the pose. Step your feet together at the top of the mat. And just sway the hips out. We'll take the same pose on the other side. You'll step your left foot back, finding your distance. It's usually about 3.5 feet or so. And the heels line up more or less. If you feel wobbly, you can take that back foot wider. Left toes pointing at the top left corner, right toes pointing straight ahead, and square the hips. So you can decide, you can have your blocks ready if you want them on either side of the foot. You could keep a hand on the thigh as you tip forward. That'll just give you a little guidance. And come over, folding over the leg. And just a half lift to begin. And then fold over the leg for a bit of stillness. Bending the knee if you need it. And then we'll flow with breath. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to bow. 2 more. Pause. And then go ahead and press into the feet. You want to feel really stable in the feet because this coming up can feel a bit wobbly. And then hinge up, nice strong legs. Hips are square, coming into the pyramid back bend. Prayer palms behind the heart, or just press your fists together. Right hip draws back, begin to find your extension of the spine. Lift the sternum. You can even think about someone has a string tied to your nose or your chin and are lifting toward the ceiling. Slowly come up, step your feet together, top of the mat. Walk out the hips if you need it. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Plant your hands on the mat, walk back, find your downward facing dog. Release your knees to the mat and set your hips on your heels. We're gonna come into Camel Pose. So if you like to roll your mat for padding under your knees, you could do that. If you have a folded blanket nearby, you could pad your knees or shins. Come up into high kneeling when you're ready, and make sure there's about 2 fist widths difference between your knees. You can measure it out. Some people like to use a block between their thighs that kind of keeps the interior rotation of the hips. If you have any low back problems, in fact, I recommend keeping a block between the thighs. That will really give you some stabilization as you come into a kneeling back bend. Hands to hips, thumbs point in or fingertips point up. So just supporting the low back. Begin to draw the shoulder blades together. So just as we were in the pyramid back bend, lift the sternum. Think about lifting the chin. If you have it in your practice, keep the hips shifting forward and arc back to grab the heels. Thumbs out, fingers in on the heels. Hips shift forward. Release any tension in the face. Continue to breathe. Slowly come up. Really support the back by using the belly for support. And just set your hips down on your heels. Take your arms overhead and glue your palms together. Hook the thumbs, but keep your palms glued together, biceps by the ears. Engage the belly and lengthen the body. We're gonna come forward, hinging at the hips. A lot of core strength, a lot of back strength here. And then let your pinky edges hit the mat first and slice forward. Now let your hips shift back toward your heels. Coming up just exactly how we went in, or reverse of how we went in. Begin to engage the belly. You're trying to keep your biceps and ears in line. Use your belly. We're hinging from the hips to come back up to tall, kneeling, float your arms down. Second set of camel. Measure off your knees. Use your block between your thighs. If you feel that supports your low back, thumbs point in or fingertips point up. One of the reasons I like to use fingertips pointing up is because it supports the lift in the thoracic spine. So if it feels available in your wrists, you might try fingertips pressing into the back ribs. Begin to shift the hips forward. Lift the sternum. Lift the chin. Only coming back if you have the full camel in your practice. Thumbs out, fingertips on the inside of the heels. Good, get a good grip on your heels if you have them, and shift your hips forward. Coming out of the pose, when you're ready, shift your hips to your heels. And this time we'll take a wide knees, child's pose. So your big toes are touching, knees are wide, maybe your forehead rests. If you need to have a cushion underneath your forehead, that's great. Great way to support yourself. Maybe under the front of the body, or maybe you come all the way down to the mat. Last breath before you come up from your child's pose, bringing the knees together, hips come to the mat, legs come around in front of you. And just make your way onto your back. It's a slow roll. Take your soles of your feet to your mat, belly pulls in. Just give yourself some support as you find your way onto your back. Keep your knees bent. Rest your hands on your belly and just give yourself a moment to catch up with yourself. Feeling vibrant, maybe reflecting on things that are basic needs to you. Next to your basic survival, what are the important things? And maybe just as I did, you ask people. It's kind of a fun experiment. And I think my 16-year-old thought it was a trick question when I asked him, like, what's the answer supposed to be? But really, from a place of deep curiosity, what is it that people and the people you love feel like is their greatest need next to food, water, and shelter? My family said light, exchange of ideas and resources, connection, and presence. And sometimes I had to do a little bit of digging to sort of decode what was really under the initial answer. For instance, Lincoln said, we need electricity. That's the next thing we need after all those things. But then once we talked about it, we realized what he was really saying is we need light. We can't live in darkness. And I thought that was really pretty profound once we dissected it. Take your legs long on the mat. And we're just going to take a gentle movement of the hips into a twist to end the practice. So we're going to bend the right knee and slide the foot up the inside of the leg so the leg has an exterior rotation, and then draw the thigh up close to the body so it kind of moves in a circle, and let it find spinal twist. So just a wider hip circle coming into spinal twist. Knee relaxing toward the floor, right shoulder on the mat. Breathe here. So same pattern to come out of it. Draw your knee up toward your upper chest or chin, big circle, and then let it go all the way out to the floor in an exterior rotation, and then lengthen. So we're going to do that 2 more times, same leg. Bend the knee, take it out, and then draw it across the body, big circle, spinal twist, maybe 3 breaths. And then we'll come out in the same way. Big circle, bring that knee up toward the chest, point the toes if that helps. Big hip circle, take it out to the right, and then slide your leg long. 1 more time. Bend the knee out. Sweep it in, big circle, spinal twist, 3 breaths. And then same way we went in, take big open hip position, and then just go ahead and take the legs long and feel into that movement for just a breath or 2. And then we'll do 3 on the other side. So bend your left knee out, external rotation. The foot kind of slides up toward the thigh, and then make this big circle. Bring your knee toward your shoulder, across your chest, and then slide into spinal twist. 3 breaths. And then come out just how you went in. Remember, you're taking this thigh closer to the belly in kind of a half arch, and then out to the side, and then slide it long. Just kind of let it go long. And then again, bend the knee out to the side, big circle, take it across the chest, and arrive, spinal twist. 3 breaths. Big circle to come out. Slide the thigh across the chest, over and out, and then take the leg long and let it go. Last one, bend the knees, slide it out to the side, take this big circle across the body, spinal twist, 3 breaths. Last time to come out, draw that knee up toward the chest, big circle all the way out to the side, and take it long. Allow yourself to find your resting pose. Feel free to support your body in any way you need to. As time sort of ticks on in our evolution as humans, it feels like life gets more and more and more and more complicated. At least it does to me. And that is a perception, of course, because if we're willing to sort of whittle down to what we really need to thrive and be happy and be creative, the ingredients are somewhat simple. They can feel really complicated, but truthfully, they are quite simple. You know, they're not all of the external things that we might get trapped into thinking we need. And certainly, as I said in the reading at the beginning, you know, there are times when even the food, water, shelter piece feels difficult. And so with that in mind, you know, giving yourself a little bit of care and understanding around those times when we feel like all of them are hard, even though maybe they are simple needs anyway. Take a morning stretch, arms past your ears, point your toes, arch your spine, take a big breath in, lift your chin, and exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Roll over onto your right side, pause just a moment in gratitude. Gratitude for those moments when all those little pieces line up to allow you a sense of wholeness. Knowing that they'll shift out of alignment, they'll shift out of grasp, but they will shift back in as well. When you're ready, press to a comfortable seat. Your eyes are closed, your palms are pressed at the center of your chest. Line your wrists up with your elbows and feel the full outline of your palms pressing together. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath at the top. And exhale to bow the forehead toward the fingertips. Pause here. Bring your thumbs to the center of your forehead and we'll bow as one. Namaste. May all that is unforgiven in you be released. May your fears yield their deepest tranquilities. And may all that is unlived in you blossom into creativity, grace, and love. Thank you for practicing with me today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. The schedule is pretty much the same for January. Sylvie's got some great offerings that are additional to our sort of normal schedule. So feel free to ask any questions if anybody has anything.
Thank you, Emily. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Have a good day.
I have a quick question about the GMHEC. Is it continuing in